To what extent is this going to be a story that we need to really think hard about next year when it comes to investment implications, Eric?
I think it's very important. I mean, there are probably two elements to it. There's what you said, sort of worry about the exchange rate for Chinese, but there's also a normal diversification of their portfolios. These are people who travel a lot and they are starting to see there's a world out there, so they like to have a bit of more diversification. And then there are those who are putting the money outside China. One thing is to put it into or foreign currency in a domestic bank, and the other is of the money that goes outside. And for the Chinese, it's a bit of a problem, right? Because we have a building bubble in the system. I mean, if by any standard, we have the biggest and most scary sort of a real estate bubble and credit bubble in China that we've seen for years. So the Chinese are watching very carefully where the money is flowing now.
Do you think there is a serious risk of systemic damage from some event in credit terms in China in 2017? I mean, I get the sense that you're quite worried about these bubbles that you've described.
Right.
Is there a risk to the broader system from a credit event?
Yeah, I think there is. It's impossible to guess when it happens, right? But let me put it this way. I have never seen these type of leverage numbers and this increase we have seen in any country ending in a good way. Let me put it this way. Now, there is a chance China can master it because they have so much money onshore, right? All the other crises we have had of these types happen because you don't have hard currency onshore. Now the Chinese have the money, and in a sense, that's why I think you're seeing now an increased amount of capital controls de facto being put in place by the Chinese. And the Chinese population, on the other hand, probably smelled some of this and trying to put the money into foreign exchange, right? So I think it's this kind of game that's going on now. Will that happen? Will it blow up in 2017? I guess not, because they still have so many hands on the levers. But the odds, statistically, certainly is not good for them in terms of writing this one off in a good way.
I think a lot of investors are quite willing to be China bears these days after you saw the stock market wobble in the last 12 months. But are people just a little bit too negative on China? I mean, if you look at the house price story, there was a very strong surge in house prices. Now you've had a lot of regulation that's clamped down on the sector, that's pulled back the growth rate to much healthier levels. Right. So there is an ability of regulation to try and trim some of the excesses and manage the system. If it's just going to be China that steadily ticks along and there's no great hard landing to come, should investors be a little bit more upbeat about the mainland market?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. So, I mean, China has a lot going for them, but they have this one big problem, which is huge by any historical standard or international standard. They also have more levers on the system than I can remember. If you're giving me these numbers that China has on the leverage system, for virtually any other country in the world, I would say 95, 98% chance that this will end in tears. With China, I'm not so sure, but I think the odds are against them because I've just never seen them handle it, being handled well before.